Hey everybody, Bicho Feo here, Dave Wayne, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Gonna talk about records, whether you like it or not. This is the first time I'm not doing a cheap heat video. I'm doing a video, it's kind of in response to or a reaction to a 20 best list that I saw on Discogs. And it's also sort of a reaction to, I know the New York Times did this 30 greatest living songwriters, and there was a bunch of outrage about it. Like, how dare they say that, I don't know, Buffy St. Marie isn't included in this list, or somebody like that. I don't know, Gordon Lightfoot. They're outraged. But, and understandably, everybody's favorite person can't make it into somebody's list. But I got this list in my email from Discogs. I hope everybody is into Discogs. I am. If you don't spend too much money there, it's a wealth of information. You can check up on things. It's kind of like Wikipedia. It's user moderated, so things will change. People will add information, take away information, argue bitterly about the format of the information, all that nerdy stuff that we all love. But Discogs sent me a list, and it's called 20 Essential Jazz Fusion Records That Everyone Should Own. Blending jazz, rock, and funk, jazz fusion set the genre into new cosmic planes. Explore 20 of the best albums below. This is written by someone named Brandon Owsley, who I don't know, and I've never heard of before. I'm sure he's never heard of me, and that's cool. That's probably the way things should be. Anyway, I have to say, I'm pretty happy with this list. Hey, Brandon really knows his stuff. Very good. Kudos, Brandon. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to go through and comment on his selections because they're good for the most. No, they're all good. I can't argue with any of them for various reasons. And I'm just going to comment and add in some things that are my favorites. So, before I go on, what are we playing? We're playing a little self-promotion. I play the drums. And so this is a CD recorded by a group that I'm in. I'm on drums. It's called Present Moment. And it's on the Psychosomatic Records label. The group consists of me on drums. And Mustafa Steffendill on guitar, who's amazing. Kim Stone on electric bass, who's also super amazing. He used to be in Spyro Gyra, and he was with the Rippingtons for years, and he's on thousands of recordings, I think. And he's a great guy, and he's an amazing musician. And then Jim Goetsch is Goetsch, Goetsch. He plays saxophone and keyboards, and he also recorded and mixed and mastered the whole thing, literally in his garage. We're a garage band. Garage jazz fusion band. Anyway, this thing's available on Bandcamp, I believe. And so get it if you have a CD player. It's a fun CD. I like it. It's even if I wasn't on it, I'd listen to it. Turn it down just a little bit. It's getting really interesting. Anyway, here's my take on Brandon's list, and it's 20 records. And I'm long-winded. I'm a long-winded old man with nothing better to do. So I'm going to do 10, the first 10, and then I'll do the second 10 in a subsequent video. 4 minutes have already gone by, me blathering about nothing. Anyway, not a cheap heat video. But some of these records are actually really easily found and easily accessible and have been reissued. And yeah, they do belong in your collection if you're into jazz fusion, jazz rock, jazz funk. Whatever, if you're just, curious. Anyway, the first one, I rearranged his list. It was in no particular order. I rearranged it chronologically. So I'm going to go from earliest to most recent. And it goes from 1969 to 1977, kind of the golden age, if you ask me. Although I think we're experiencing a new golden age of fusion. There's so much good new fusion out now. I'm going to have to talk about that as well someday. Anyway, here we go. First thing, the oldest records he talks about are these. Tony Williams' Lifetime, Emergency. And just to confuse things, these records came out separately, and they also came out as a 2-record set. Anyway, this is a classic trio of Larry Young, also known as Khalid Yasin, John McLaughlin, and Tony Williams, playing in an organ trio format with Larry Young working the pedals. And these albums didn't sound like anything else in their time. There is really nothing else like it. McLaughlin's guitar had a frenetic Hendrixian psychological psychedelic edge, probably psychological too. Although it was still jazz, he was still playing jazz. I mean, he's incredibly facile. Larry Young, no keyboard player has sounded like him before or since. And Tony Williams, I think we're just beginning to appreciate Tony Williams in the manner that he should be appreciated. And the man was a visionary and a genius. And Miles Davis would have agreed with that. A fellow visionary and genius. Anyway, great choice, Brandon. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm going to talk about some other Tony Williams lifetime records, though, because anybody who's serious about this genre should at least consider getting all of these if they don't already have them. The follow-up to those was Turn It Over, of course, which added Jack Bruce, bassist Jack Bruce, on vocals. Tony also sang on this, which was very controversial and remains controversially so. Much more of a rock record, very, very spooky, if you ask me. This is a scary record. It's scary because it's so good, and it's also just plain scary, and just dark. And don't listen to it at night alone. It's just a tremendous record, and again, like nothing else, but very different from his first. He didn't just keep repeating the same things over and over. McLaughlin left shortly after, and Tony Williams carried on with Ted Dunbar on guitar, completely different player, very interesting player, and with Larry Young and Warren Smith on percussion, and Don Elias on percussion, and Ron Carter on bass and cello. He recorded Ego, and he also sang on this, but the vocals are really cool. And this is a really unusual record, very different from Turn It Over. It's got almost a tropical, Latin, sunny sort of sound to it, but it's also a little bit mysterious sounding. I don't know how else to put it. Anyway, this is a great record. It's nothing like what came before. And therein lies the genius of Tony Williams. He followed that up with his last album for Polydor, the Old Bums Rush. This had a significant amount of vocals on it, but it's still unbelievably great. And it's still pretty cheap. I think you could still find this for like $10. This had Webster Lewis on keyboards instead of Larry Young. Tequila Logan on vocals. Herb Bushler on bass. Tony, of course, on drums and vocals. David Horowitz on keyboards and synthesizer. And I think that's it. I don't think there was any percussion on this. Ben Sidran was involved in the production of this record. So again, it's a little different. And of course, Tony returned the favor by playing on one of Ben Sidran's LPs. I can't remember which one, but it's pretty cool. And Tony's great. Anyway, not to be outdone, Tony Williams signed with Columbia and put out this monster album. And I would say this should have been in the list. I mean, Brandon obviously only wanted to include one artist per, but Tony Williams is a giant in the field, and this album with Alan Pasqua, Tony Newton, and Alan Holdsworth is absolutely one of the greatest things ever recorded. There is very little else in this world that I love more than this record. My wife and my child, and then this record. Just kidding, but they do come first. Anyway, this is an incredible record. It's probably the record I've played the most. And I've got the CD. There are versions of the CD with 2 extra tracks. Keep your eye out. Not all of them, but some of them. Anyway, Believe It by Tony Williams' new lifetime. essential. Anyway, good choice by Brandon. That's the first. I've only gotten one down. 19 to go. Actually, I'm just going to do 9. The second one, chronologically, was Dorothy Ashby, the Rubaiyat of Dorothy Ashby. And I have to say, that record was really obscure until hip-hop came around in the 80s and sampling. And that record has been, and continues to be, and will always be sampled. And it's a real gem. I've had it. I don't have it anymore. I sold it when the price went up in order to buy more records. And so I don't have anything by Dorothy Ashby, unfortunately. Wonderful musician and a great choice by Brandon, I have to say. I'm going to put in my 2 cents. And these records were filed not right next to Dorothy Ashby, but really close. And I thought, well, alphabetically, these records should be in every Fusion fan's collection. And these are records that a lot of people don't know about. This is a drummer named Horacee Arnold. Actually, his name is Horace Arnold. And he added the E on. I think it was a typo or something, because I think his middle initial is E. And they just added the extra E onto his name. Anyway, Horacee Arnold, really interesting drummer, and a longtime music educator, and played with Sonny Fortune and a number of other people. Chick Corea also. Anyway, he did these 2 records for Columbia, both in the early 70s. This is from 73. This is from 74. You're going to want to get these. You're going to want to get these. The personnel on this one, Tribe, this is mostly acoustic. Ralph Towner, George Mraz, David Friedman on vibes, Joe Farrell, Billy Harper, yeah, it's just a beautiful, really unusual record. Horacee Arnold loved odd time signatures and loved African music, and those influences loom large. On this album, the follow-up, pretty much the same guys, plus everyone's favorite keyboard player, Jan Hammer. Incredible Moog soloing on this. Incredible. Rick Laird, also Mahavishnu. David Friedman returns. Ralph Towner returns. Damon Ramau, Art Webb. Sonny Fortune on this. John Abercrombie's on this. George Mraz and Clint Houston on basses. And Dave Johnson, who did some really interesting records later on. David Earl, under the name David Earl Johnson, on congas and percussion. Anyway, this record is an underground classic. It must be owned by you if you like fusion and you don't know about it. Jan Hammer is just amazing on this. I mean, they just cut him loose and say, do whatever you want. And he just wails on this. And it's all really cool compositions. There's a duet with just Horacee and Jan just going for it. I mean, Tales of the Exonerated Flea, must own. Brandon, I'm sorry, I don't have the Dorothy Ashby, but I'm gonna put this in. Take it under advisement. Okay, the next one, No Brainer. And I could go on and on and on about this group. He recommends this. This is in Brandon's list. I totally agree. Totally agree. This is jazz rock fusion. Right here. If you have one album and it's not Believe It, it's this one. And you know, the entire Mahavishnu Mark 1 and Mark 2 output is incredible. You know, when Cobham left and Jan Hammer left, and he got at first he got Gail Moran on keyboards and vocals, and then later Stu Goldberg. He replaced Cobham with the irreplaceable Cobham with Narada Michael Walden, who also wound up being irreplaceable. Rick Laird left, was replaced by Ralph Armstrong, still an amazing band, and Jean-Luc Ponty replaced Goodman. So, you know, that's Mark II. This is Mark 1 with Rick Laird, Jerry Goodman, Cobham, and Hammer. This is a classic record, and really, I think a lot of rock people would be able to appreciate it. The next one he talks about, chronologically, is On the Corner by Miles Davis. And I have an interesting history with that record. I hated it when I first got it. I was like 13 or 14, and I had just bought like Santana records, and I just thought, I'm going to get into music. I'm alone here in Florida, don't know anybody, going to get into music. And I read some reviews, and I got a Weather Report album called Sweet Nighter, and I got On the Corner by Miles Davis. I now have this, the zillion, how many CDs is in this? Complete On the Corner Sessions. I think this is like 6 or 8 CDs in a metal box. It's crazy. It's everything. And I did not like On the Corner. It just, I don't know, it just perplexed me as a teen. But after being exposed to Sweet Nighter for about 3 months, I pulled this out. In fact, I filed this backwards in my little teenage music collection. Not the box, but the album. And I forgot about it, which is my intent. And I pulled it out after a few months of listening to Sweet Nighter like every day. And I put On the Corner. I was like, oh, I get it now. And it quickly became my favorite. And I went nuts on Miles Davis, bought everything I could find, get my hands on, would wash cars and wash old ladies' windows. The old ladies always wanted their windows washed in South Florida. And got a lot of money together that way and went out and bought records with them. Used to ride my bike out to Peaches or Sears or Montgomery Ward or Solomon and Sons and go through the records and buy a record and put it under my jacket and ride home with records under my jacket like this. Those were the days, 13, 14, 15 years old. Anyway, I thought I'd include some Miles vinyl, and this record gets passed over. You know, it's one of those odds and ends things that they put out in the 70s to sort of capitalize on Miles's fame. There are so many outtakes. A lot of this, if not all of it, is on this in some form or another. But I still have this record. I think there might be 1 or 2 things. It's called Big Fun, and most of these recordings were from around the same time, and very radical stuff, and kind of an underrated LP, I think, in the Miles Davis Electric Miles canon, and really cool. It still has those Corky McCoy guys on it. Gotta love those guys. Somebody showed me on the internet. There's little action figures of those guys. So anyway, great choice, Brandon. I salute you for choosing On the Corner by Miles Davis. His chronologically, the next one is Santana, Caravanserai. Can't argue with that. People might not see this as fusion. They might think, oh, Santana's a rock band or Santana's a funk band. Santana's many bands. They've been around for how long now? 50 years? More? Still putting out great music. This album is a classic. It is incredible. And the people on it alone, of course, Michael Shreve's still on drums, Doug Rauch on bass, Tom Rutley on bass, Tom Coster on keyboards, Mingo Lewis on percussion, of course, Carlos on guitar. I think Neil Sean's on it. Hadley Kalaman is playing saxophone and flute on this. This is just an incredible record. And it's massive. It's just one of those big records. Strictly speaking, though, Santana's fusion record is welcome. And you can't see it because it's all white. But Alice Coltrane's on this. And I have a poster inside this. I don't know if it's... No, it's not. It's from the first album. Anyway, this is called Welcome. And it's got guys from Malo, who I always saw as Santana's farm team on it. Starting to really change the personnel. Chipito Reyes is still with the band. Mike Shreve is still with the band. McLaughlin is on a few tracks. Alice Coltrane's on a few tracks. Anyway, Welcome is the Santana album to get if you want to hear some actual blazing fusion. There's a piece on here. It's in 15/8, I think, and it's called Flame Sky. It'll knock your socks off. Okay, the next chronological choice from Mr. Owsley, and my hat is off big time on this choice. This is a fusion classic that people don't talk about. Sextant by Herbie Hancock. What an album. Nothing like it before, nothing like it since. I love this record. It is so spooky, so uncanny, so full of unusual sounds. Blew my mind. It's another record I got partially on the strength of the album cover art by Robert Springett. It's beautiful, man. I love this guy. He's almost as great as Abdul Mahdi Klarween, who did all the Miles covers. Yeah, no, this is incredible. It's got Mellotron on it. It's got sequencers on it. It's got every electronic gadget available to Herbie Hancock circa 1973. And this is a radical record. It was the tipping point that made him go to the Headhunters band, which is no less wonderful, but completely different. Very much more of a conventional sound. Anyway, the predecessor to this, and it took me years to realize there was albums before Sextant that kind of sounded like Sextant. They were on Warner Brothers. They were all cut out. They were hard to find back then in the mid 70s. But eventually I got a copy of Crossings. I highly recommend this record. And it is also a fusion classic. But Brandon Owsley, you got that one. You hit it right out of the park with Sextant. It's great. Another record that could have appeared on that list, even instead of Headhunters, is Thrust, which is the follow-up to Headhunters. The Headhunters being a masterpiece. You'd think the second record would fall off in content. They got a new drummer, Mike Clark, who became the drummer because of this. I mean, he was already that, but we didn't know. Anyway, it's hard to follow up a masterpiece with another masterpiece, and Herbie Hancock has done it several times. All right, chronologically, the next one he talks about is this. I found this a little surprising, but I'm like, yeah, I could go with that. Fingers by Airto on CTI. This is Airto's rock record. This is rock and roll record. And it's really good. A lot of flora on it, a lot of singing. The guys from Opa provide most of the backing band. Hugo and Fataruso and Jorge Fataruso. That's Opa, basically. And Ringo Tieleman on bass. Yeah, that is Opa. The Fataruso brothers plus Ringo Tieleman. That's them. And David Amaro on guitar. Kind of an unsung hero of the fusion era. I like this record. I wouldn't have included it myself. But Brandon, you dug deep, man. I would have gone with this. Virgin Land, which kind of an all-star record. It's also on it's on Salvation, which is a subsidiary of CTI. It doesn't have the glossy cover, lower budget. Anyway, David Amaro is here. It's basically the same band, but David Amaro is on this, and the bass player is Stanley Clark. Airto is the drummer. Milko Leviev is on keyboards. Eddie Daniels, Alex Blake, all kinds of people show up on this record. I mean, this is a killing fusion record. And there's just some unbelievable stuff on this. I mean, this is really a dynamic record, and it's often passed over. And Airto has just done so much great stuff. I would get anything that he's on up until he went to Warner Brothers. Then gets a little mild. But his early records for Buddha are amazing. I should have pulled those down, but we only have so much time. Anyway, Airto, those are great records. Okay, and all the CTI ones are great too. Next one chronologically was Blacks and Blues by Bobby Humphrey, which I've owned. And I don't have it. Sold it. Sorry. But I do have Bobby Humphrey albums. Her first two records are very funky, produced by George Butler, not by Mizell. And then what was the third one? Blacks and Blues. Really good record. And a Mizell Brothers production. If you want a Mizell Brothers record with flute on it, get Roger Glenn's record. That's the one, I think. This is me. But she did do this record in the wake of Blacks and Blues. And it's a tough one to find. But George Butler produced these on Blue Note. They're the Blue Note Montreux series. There's like 5 or 6 of them. Donald Byrd did one. Ronnie Foster did one. Marlena Shaw did one. And Bobby Hutcherson did one. And they're all really good. And this is a jammin', Bobby Humphrey record. And it's got a lot of, the selections from her first 3 records, mostly from her first 2 records, really, including a version of Virtue by Alphonse Mouzon, who actually co-produced one of her records. And Virtue, the song, appears on that record. It reappears here in live form, and it's jamming. Anyway, I really like this record. And of course, Bobby Humphrey's first 2 records, I think one of them's called Dig It and one of them's called Flute In. Both great. Both of them have like Billy Harper on them and all kinds of great people. Anyway, good choice, solid choice, obvious choice. Finally, you're wondering when I would shut up. Layers by Les McCann was one of the choices on this list. And it's a great record. It's unusual. It's a sort of a spooky, uncanny keyboard record. No vocals, which is unusual for Les McCann. The man could sing just with congas and drums and bass. Lots of percussion. Ralph McDonald and Buck Clark are on this. And keyboards, no other instruments. But it's just kind of an essential, yet another one of those records that the hip-hop guys and gals kind of dug up and slapped on the turntables and hipped us all to its greatness. Thank you. Anyway, it's a really cool record, really unusual, and needs to be in your collection. Great call by Brandon Owsley. But I would say this outclasses it. Invitation to Openness. This is Les McCann's all-instrumental take on the Miles Davis legacy. And it's got long tracks, just 3 tracks. One track, The Lovers, all of side 1. And then side 2 is, it's all one track. It's just a long title. It's called Bo J. Pubu Pupai Maguchi and His Friends. Anyway, listen to the personnel on this. This is crazy off the chain record. If you like any of the Miles stuff, any of that Cosmogroove stuff, the Eddie Henderson stuff, the Herbie Hancock Mwandishi band, and it kind of occupies a space between Mwandishi band and Headhunters. It really does. It's funky, but it's really spacey. But listen to who's on this. Les McCann, of course, on keyboards and Moog. Yusef Lateef, David Spinoza, Cornell Dupree. There's a harpist named Corky Hale. Bill Salter on electric bass. Jimmy Rouser also. There's another guy playing electric piano, Jody Christian from Eddie Harris's band. Donald Dean, Alphonse Mouzon, Buck Clark, and Bernard Purdy on drums and percussion. Ralph McDonald on percussion. So there you go. This record is a smoking, wonderful record. I've got the LP and the CD, both. So that's half of the records on Brandon Owsley's Discogs 20 Fusion Essentials list. I will do the other 20 post haste, because I'm sure you're starving for this content. Anyway, that's my reaction. I think Brandon Owsley did a great job, and the other 10 selections were very strong. I have greater disagreements, but I'll talk about that. Guaranteed.